The Thai film begins with a high school boy who is yelling about his graduation. He sits on a tree with his friends. They talk about their bad grades. One of them says that they might have to use black magic if they wish to graduate. He mentions that he has a friend who was determined to earn a scholarship to study abroad, and succeeded. Shortly after, another boy arrives on a bike and asks where James is. The high school boy replies that James has gone abroad. This confuses the group. In the next scene, they find themselves in a dimly lit area. A man named Gawao mentions that he made a vow. Before taking his exam, he would come here to ask for a scholarship. They all turn to a shrine, which one of them refers to as the Shrine of Maynak Frachanam. Nick then asks Gawao what he offered during his vow. Gawao replies in English that he bought Thai dresses for the woman and her son, but his words aren't understood. Another boy tries to translate and humorously says that when Gawao made his vow, he arrived with his mom, who wore a Thai dress, and that the woman's son had nothing on. Gawao corrects him, calling the boy stupid for getting the translation wrong. Moving along, Nick tells the boy Bew to bring Joss some sticks, so he searches for them until he encounters a boy who scares him. Bew tries to run away, but he bumps into a pillar. His friends rush to him, getting scared to see the same boy. Nick kicks him in the face. The boy is none other than the aforementioned James, who is supposed to be abroad. He explains to Nick that he is there to tell the group about his awful grades. He lied about his flying away. Nick accidentally drops the framed photo of a woman, causing it to crack. They all get scared. Afterward, we see them all praying at the shrine with Joss. As they do, a storm is brewing. Nick is the only person who is focused on his prayer. The two people beside him urge him to leave and he gets knocked back by an invisible force. Later, they are elsewhere with him trying to wake Nick up. Once he awakens, he tells the group to follow him. They see a boat floating in the water near them. They are all scared, but Nick fearlessly moves ahead, but the others leave. While James walks with Bew, he tells him that they are pals. He also adds that from this moment, whatever happens, he will never leave Bew. He spots a lady dancing ahead and gets frightened. He runs away, instantly breaking his promise to Bew, who also manages to see the lady. She brings out the same response in him. James rushes back to Nick with the others. He gives the same promise to him that he gave previously to Bew. He gets on the boat this time, prompting the others to follow. Since the boat isn't moving, Nick inquires who is going to paddle the boat. Bew and James say he will. He asks them if they love him, to which they reply they do. All the others let him know they don't love him, so Nick tells his two friends to paddle for him. They start doing that without the help of anyone else. In the next scene, we see more of them paddling. The group eventually arrives at a house, wondering whose it is. On the dock, they get scared of seeing a big lizard. Nick is the only brave one who tries to move it out of the way. He touches it with something, and it throws itself at him, quickly cutting the scene. When they all approach the house, it scares them. One of them runs to answer the call of nature. Nick is about to ascend the stairs of the house, but his friends stop him. He sees how they are all removed from his level of bravery. The moment he takes a step on the stairs, lightning strikes. It doesn't stop him from going up there. Bew shakes in fear as he goes upstairs, and James keeps falling through the stair openings. With that done, the group draws near the house with caution. Hearing the scream of a woman, they scatter in fear. Nick tells his two friends to check what is in there. Despite being terrified, they get to the door, hearing the woman yell for help from the inside. One of the friends says her voice is familiar. Nick's friends break through the door. They see a woman lying on the floor who orders them to inform the others that she is about to give birth. Thus, they enter the house to try to help her. A decent amount of time passes with them being goofy during the procedure. It doesn't take long for the woman to lose consciousness. Checking her pulse, James reports she is deceased. This puts ever more fear into the gang, making them flee from the house. They see two women walking outside. Seeing this, they hide under the house. The women go upstairs to the pregnant lady. One of them calls her Nak. It turns out she is not deceased. The duo encourages her to push the baby out. Nak tries to do it, but she falls back, losing consciousness a second time. The older woman yells that Nak is deceased, a statement heard by the group outside. They fearfully rush back to their boat and swim away in fast motion. Alas, they cannot seem to escape this place. This prompts Nick to yell out to Nak. All of a sudden, an object gets thrown at James's face. Bew gets the same treatment. Nick taunts her if that is all she can do to make them leave. Rain magically appears to pour only over them. They all fall into the water. On the next day, the group is lying near the house while Nak rocks her baby beside them. Once James awakens, he gets scared seeing her. He calls her a ghost and begins to yell, awakening the others. Since James backs away from her too much, he falls off the edge. The gang shares his fear upon seeing Nak. Nick inquires from her if she is May Nak. She asks them whether they believe she exists. Although the group says they believe, Nick says he does not. He tells her that they saw her perish last night. Nak responds if that were the case, she would not be sitting here. Changing the subject, she says she wants them to find her husband. He has joined the army for several months, and she is worried about him. She wants the group to inform her husband that she has given birth to a baby. Nick asks what if they don't help her. The answer he gets is she won't allow them to leave this place. Nok gives them a map of where to go. She says her husband has a mustache, along with a beard. His name is Mac. Before she lets them go, she says they cannot go there with their current looks. At night, we see half of the gang elsewhere. They have different hairstyles and are shirtless. A cannonball flies over them until it lands to explode. Our attention is brought to the soldiers on this battlefield. After the friends hide, they put on the uniforms of some deceased soldiers. Nick says they will wait for the battle to conclude before they start their search for Mac. When the battle is over, they start searching for Mac among the injured and deceased. James awakens 2 soldiers who are hostile due to his uniform. They collect several people who have beards and mustaches. They carry them on a wagon. As they do, a monk walks by, inquiring from them what is going on. They answer that they need help, and the monk tells them to follow him. The next scene has the collected soldiers lying elsewhere. The group tries to guess which one is Mac. Soon an elder monk enters the room to tell his son to bring Mac inside. The son informs the group about who Mac is, and they wake him up. Mac learns that his wife asked them to find him. When Mac appears to lose consciousness, Nick remarks that he has lost his life, but Mac says he's not deceased. At Nak's house, she is sitting near Gawao. He thanks her because she helped him get a scholarship. However, Nak says she didn't help him. Every day people visit her to wish for things. She tells him that she can't help everyone. She doesn't do anything. Gawao is curious if she and Mac love each other to the point of sacrificing their life for each other. She replies Mac loves her very much. We see moments of the recent past of him hugging her throughout the day. During her pregnancy, Mac had to join the army, thus she had to live alone. While Nak sits with Gawao, the others use a method to see if Nak is truly a ghost. They don't see her sitting with Gawao. They panic, wondering what to do. Switching to the other area, Mac comes to awaken them. He learns they were told by his wife to find him. Subsequently, they return to Nak's house, holding an injured Mac. His wife exits the house to see him. She calls out to him and he responds positively. Since this calling out gets repetitive between them, Nick asks why they have to do that. Walking to her, Mac hugs his wife. He says he misses her very much, and they make their way inside the house. One of the friends tells James he has used the method to see if Nak is a ghost. He says he saw nothing, proving she was one. As the couple is being intimate, the group spies on them. They see Mac is touching a corpse, possibly without realizing it. This scares the gang away from the house. Nick wants them to leave, but one of his companions says he hasn't seen the boat for many days. They go to check if it's there, but it isn't. Searching the area, they see a woman with a child. The group asks her where she is going, to which she answers she can't stay anymore as Nak is haunting her every night. The gang finds a boat. While they are on it, the spectral voice of Nak asks them where they are going. She appears on a nearby boat, frightening them. Shifting to Mak, he walks outside and encounters the 2 women from earlier who came to Nak. The older tells him his wife is deceased. Mak tells the woman that he would slap her had she not been old. The other one says it's true that Nak has perished. This angers Mak to the point of threatening to slap both of them. The older woman enters Nak's house, where she sees Nak. She loses consciousness out of fear. The other woman runs away and seems to fall in excrement. Soon the friends run into Nak. She tells them not to tell her husband she is deceased. On the next day, Nick wakes up at the house, witnessing the cradle swing on its own. He tells his 2 closest friends to check what is going on with it, but they are scared of checking it out. Lucky for them, the cradle stops swinging. Several of them gather the courage to look in the cradle, only to see a normal baby in there. However, the baby suddenly grows huge arms to scare them back. At this moment, Mac exits the house and they inform him of his child swinging his cradle. He checks on his son to see if everything is okay with him. Once Nak joins them, Nick asks her when she will let them go back, for they brought Mac back to her, but she wants them to stay to enjoy a meal with them. Mac says last night he was lied to about his wife being deceased. He asks the gang if they also think that, and they are forced to say they don't. Mac says whoever lies about Nak won't be allowed to live. Upon being asked who wants to join Mac to get fish and vegetables, they all eagerly raise their hands, not wanting to stay with the ghostly Nak. 4 of them go with Mac, whilst the remaining minor characters get ordered to babysit by Nak. Elsewhere, James tries to tell Mac that his wife is deceased. His friends anticipate him saying it. Alas, he is too scared to let the truth out. Hence he upsets them. Gawao asks his friends why they are scared. Although he attempts to be the one who tells Mac the truth, he fails too. This results in him getting kicked for his arrogance. Then another man appears whom Mac calls Calm. He informs Mac that the woman he wanted to slap last night is now deceased. Calm adds that Nak took her life. Angered, Mac demands to know why Calm is talking nonsense. He comes to Calm and gets punched in the face. He gets punched again for trying to do something about Calm telling him his wife has perished. Once the tough man leaves, Bu tells Mac the truth about Nak. The boy gets punched for it. James also gets punched for agreeing with that statement. Gawao is the third one Mac tries to hit, but Gawao isn't having it. He punches Mac down instead. They begin to carry him out due to his loss of consciousness. Since he is too heavy even for 3 of them, they drop him in the water. At night, the 5 of them return to Knock. Most of them go under the house, where Nick explains to Mac that he will see his wife as a ghost. The 2 friends start dropping limes below the house to get Knock to demonstrate her ghostly abilities. Mock tries to stand and hits his head, which makes him unconscious. During this crucial moment, Knock stretches her arm to an unnatural length to collect the lime beneath. The others attempt to awaken Mac as she searches for the lime. When she collects it, Mac wakes up too late to witness the stretched arm. He tells Nick the latter is lying about Knack being a ghost. Soon, Mac remembers talking to a monk who asked Mac where his wife is. Mac told him she was upstairs. The monk replied, if Mac truly wants to know where she is, he must pray. Then he must look upside down between his legs. He therefore does that to look at her in the present. Due to what he perceives, he backs away in fear and falls into the water. 3 of the friends rush to pull him out. Angered, Knock asks why they told her husband about her having perished. Nick lies they didn't tell him. She makes objects fly with her power, hitting Mac by mistake to knock him out again. Knock heads over to intimidate the trio. They try to cheer her by dancing, yet the upset lady is not entertained. In the meantime, the others carry Mac away. The man manages to say in his semi-conscious state to take him to Mahout Temple. They arrive at the temple and see many monks praying. Once Mac wakes up, he calls out to the main monk, telling him that Knock is deceased. The other monks get scared, so they gather near their head leader. They say she is coming. The monk asks Mac what he is going to do. Mac replies that if he would have known about this, he would not have arrived at the temple. Now that she is a ghost, he is scared. The monk wants to help him, for Mac is one of his disciples. Switching to the other 3, they are in a chapel. As they hide from Knock, Nick says she won't enter this place. He is certain about it, but Knock appears in the chapel beside James. His friends leave him out of fear. However, Knock is also there. She forces them to return to the chapel. She stands at the doorway and stretches her arms toward them. Nick ties them together to a pillar, binding her. This allows the trio to escape. They come to the temple where all the others are to inform them that Knock is restrained. She can't follow them anymore. In a short time, his words get contradicted. Gawao fearfully points above them, prompting the trio to slowly turn around. They see Knock standing upside down on the roof, hence they join the monks to start praying. The monk leader tells Knock he is not afraid of her. She talks angrily to him, saying she will take everyone's life in the temple. Then a man rushes to them and says Calm has gathered people along with a ghost hunter. The scene changes to show the ghost hunter, a man with long hair. He asks Calm if he knows whom Knock loves the most. Calm says it is her husband and her son. Learning this, the ghost hunter orders Calm to bring Knock's son to him. The ghost hunter gives him an amulet to put around the boy's neck if he refuses to be taken. At the house, Calm tries taking the baby, yet he uses his power to knock Calm down. Calm puts the special amulet around his neck to deal with his trouble. Now he is allowed to take the baby without getting attacked. Afterward, the ghost hunter holds the child. A corpse is also lying beside him. Mac arrives and tries to take his son back. A fight ensues. The monk says they need to cast a spell. Soon the ghost hunter transforms the corpse into a healthy person, who is Knock. He puts her son on top of her before he commands both of them to burn in hell. He is about to bring his knife down on them, but Knock sits up. She uses her power to prevent him from using his knife. She pushes him back. Although he keeps trying to walk to her, Knock effortlessly does not let him. She rolls him into a wooden mat that she rolls into the water. In the next scene, the group that Calm has collected comes to Mac's house and calls out to him. Since they think no one is there, they throw torches at the house to burn it down. This causes Knock to emerge while holding her son. She says she has done nothing to them. One of them yells for her to leave the living alone. He adds that she takes people's lives without exception. Knock declares she has never taken anyone's life. If she can't live in peace, she won't give it to them either. Thus she uses her power to bring them to the ground and they leave the place fearfully. Shifting to Mock, he is with the gang, saying Knock left him too early. The monk asks Knock's corpse if she will talk to him. This makes the corpse become Knock's normal self again. When he asks her why she is scaring all the people, she replies she has never hurt anyone in the first place. They are the ones who her. She only wants to be with her husband. But the monk says what she did is sinful. Ghosts cannot live with humans. Mac draws near his wife, who tells him even though she is lifeless, she still loves him. Due to their son also being a ghost, Knock says they have to say goodbye to Mac. She will follow Buddha's path until her karma finishes. Mac cries that their fate fell short. He says in the next life, they must be bound together. We get a flashback of him setting out to war. He tells Knock he will be back quickly. Sadly, he gets shot in battle. Out of the flashback, he asks the monk if he's already deceased. Some of the group members unravel the wooden mat and find Mac's body in there instead of the ghost hunter. At this moment, they all learn Mac is deceased. He lights up before vanishing. Subsequently, the group puts their hands in a prayer position to tell Knock they are sorry for insulting her. She says they shall all be safe on their way home. Nick asks her if she will help him with his exam. She says that she will, but he has to study hard. Once she lies down, she becomes a corpse again, finally freed from this world. The last thing the gang of friends does is return to the dock. This time, a boat arrives for them, and they get on it and paddle their way home.